You didn't just betray your brother, you made sure the gods took credit for it. Welcome back to Brutal History for Sleep, where justice is slow, sacred, and sharpened at both ends. If you're still awake, like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Tell us where in the world you're listening from, and what hour betrayal tends to visit you. Thanks for helping this strange little show grow. Tonight you twist an army's grief into fury, feed lies to your brothers, and perform a blood eagle before a cheering crowd, all to punish the man who trusted you most. Close your eyes. Feel the firelight flicker behind your eyelids, the warmth of furs wrapped around your shoulders. The air is thick with roasted meat and pine smoke, and somewhere beyond the feast, all laughter, you can still hear the priest screaming. Your hands are clean for now, folded beneath your head, but sleep won't come, not yet. Not until your plan is finished. The Skald owes you a song, the Saxon owes you a confession, and Ivar, well, he just needs a little nudge. The truth is almost ready, sharpened, rehearsed, and soaked in enough grief to pass for justice. Tomorrow you'll carve it into your brother's back while they all watch, but tonight you rest. You've done everything right, almost. The monastery burns behind you, its wooden cross collapsing in a shower of sparks that would make any pagan's heart sing. You're cleaning gore from your axe blade. Amazing how Saxon monks bleed just like everyone else, despite all their claims about divine protection. When the conversation that changes everything reaches your ears, Halfdan Ragnarsson stands 20 paces away, speaking quietly with Thorstein, his most trusted captain. You're supposed to be checking the bodies for hidden gold, but something in Halfdan's tone makes you pause. The wind carries their words clearly across the corpse-strewn courtyard. Told Ella exactly where father would beach his ships, Halfdan is saying, even drew him a map. The old fool never suspected his own son would trade him for Northumbrian silver. Your hands stop moving. The axe blade trembles. Dane's response is barely audible. But Lord, the men believe what I tell them to believe. Halfdan cuts him off. They think we're here for vengeance? Good, let them. Vengeful warriors fight harder than paid ones. But once we've carved up Northumbria between us, Aella and I will come to terms. He keeps his crown, I get my lands, and father, well, father's been feeding the snakes for 2 years now. The world tilts. You've spent those 2 years killing in Ragnar's name, believing in this sacred vengeance, watching men die for a lie. Your knuckles whiten around the axe handle as Halfdan laughs, actually laughs about his father's death. The best part? My brothers suspect nothing. They're too busy competing to be the most grieved son. You force yourself to resume cleaning your weapon, movements mechanical, mind racing. When Halfdan passes, you bow your head respectfully, the perfect loyal Huskarl. He doesn't spare you a glance. Why would he? You're furniture to him, as unremarkable as a shield on the wall. That night's victory feast fills the captured monastery's half-ruined hall. Saxon gold flows as freely as stolen mead, and warriors toast their continued march toward York. You position yourself where you can watch Halfdan without seeming to, studying him with new eyes, the eager way he raises his horn to father's memory, the practiced grief in his voice when he speaks of vengeance, the slight twitch of his lips when men weep drunkenly for their lost king. You notice you're not the only one watching. Ivar the Boneless, dragging his twisted legs between the benches, fixes his brother with those pale eyes that see too much. When Halfdan launches into another florid speech about honouring Ragnar, Ivar's jaw tightens. Interesting. You file this observation away, like a weapon for later use. You there, Halfdan's voice cuts through your thoughts. He's pointing directly at you, face flushed with drink. My faithful hound, come, tell these pups how you slaughtered 3 Saxons with your bare hands today. You force a grin and swagger forward, playing your role. But as you embellish the tale, making the Saxons bigger, your triumph more glorious, your mind works in darker directions. Halfdan has made you a killer based on lies. How many innocents have you butchered for his false cause? How many true warriors have died, believing they served justice? The feast continues deep into the night. You're returning from a piss break, walking through the monastery's ruined garden. when Halfdan materializes from the shadows. His hand falls heavy on your shoulder. "I have a task for you," he says, breath sour with mead. Young Gunnar's been asking questions about father's capture. Too many questions. Says the timing doesn't match what the Saxon prisoners claim. His grip tightens. Such curiosity is unhealthy for everyone. You understand immediately. "Where is he, Lord?" "Guard duty. Eastern Gate." Halfdan's smile is cold moonlight on water. "Make it look like Saxon scouts. We can't have discord in the ranks, can we?" "No, Lord, we cannot." You find Gunnar exactly where promised, a boy of maybe 17 summers playing at being a warrior. He barely has time to recognize you before your hands close around his throat. As he thrashes, desperate fingers clawing at your iron grip, you whisper apologies he cannot hear. This is what Halfdan has made you, a killer of your own kind, a strangler of truth. When his struggles cease, you arrange the scene carefully. Saxon arrows from your private collection, paid for with monastery gold, pierce his corpse. Drag marks suggest he fought valiantly before being overwhelmed. You even slash your own arm for authenticity. Nothing says desperate battle like bleeding on the right corpse. Standing over Gunnar's body, clarity strikes like Thor's hammer. How many others has Halfdan silenced? How many loyal warriors became Saxon victims because they asked the wrong questions? And more importantly, when will your turn come? You know the truth now. Your days are numbered in Halfdan's service. You kneel beside the cooling corpse, decision crystallizing like winter frost. "Don't worry, lad," you whisper to unhearing ears. "He'll join you soon enough. But his journey will be considerably slower. The Blood Eagle, the most agonizing death your people know, reserved for the greatest enemies, kings who murder kings, sons who betray fathers. Yes, Halfdan will receive exactly what he deserves. Justice served before 1,000 witnesses, each one believing they watch righteousness unfold. You slip back to your sleeping role, mind already working through possibilities. Halfdan thinks you're his faithful hound, too stupid to see the truth, too loyal to question orders. Let him think that. Let him feel safe. The best hunters know patience kills more surely than strength. Tomorrow you'll bow and scrape and play the dutiful warrior. You'll kill whom he tells you to kill. Raid where he points, never revealing the rage that now burns in your chest like forge fire. Because revenge, true revenge, requires more than strength. It requires art. And you're about to become an artist. 3 weeks have passed since Gunnar's convenient demise, and you've become a master of calculated proximity. Like a good hunting hound, you're always within earshot of conversations that matter, but never close enough to seem suspicious. Today, you're oiling leather straps near the command tent when Ivar the Boneless drags himself past, and you deploy your first hook. Shameful, you mutter, just loud enough. Ivar stops, those unsettling pale eyes fixing on you. "What did you say?" You look up with practiced startlement. "Forgive me, Lord, I spoke without thinking." "Speak with thinking, then." His voice carries that dangerous softness his brothers have learned to fear. You glance around conspiratorially, then lean closer. It's just young Gunnar. Good warrior. Strange that Saxon scouts got so close to camp without anyone seeing them come or go. You shrug. "But what do I know? I'm just a sword swinger." Ivar studies you for a long moment, then drags himself closer. "Strange indeed. Tell me, sword swinger, what else have you found strange lately?" And there it is, the first thread of your web, accepted willingly. You feed him nothing substantial, just observations. How Halfdan always seems to know which monasteries have gold. How Saxon defences are always weakest exactly where we attack. Small things that could mean nothing, or everything. Probably just good scouting, you conclude with another shrug. "Probably," Ivar agrees, but his eyes say otherwise. "What's your name, warrior?" You tell him, and watch him file it away in that labyrinth mind of his. When he leaves, you return to your leatherwork, suppressing a smile. Ivar thinks he's recruiting a spy. In truth, he's becoming your unwitting executioner. That evening, Halfdan hosts Saxon prisoners for interrogation. Translation: he gets drunk and torments them for amusement. You're part of the guard detail, standing silent as furniture while your lord performs for his captains. The entertainment reaches its peak when they drag in a priest, some soft creature clutching his wooden cross like it might save him. "Tell me, priest," Halfdan slurs, waving his drinking horn. "Where was your god when Ragnar died? Where was your Christ when the snakes took him?" The priest stammers something in broken Norse about God's mysterious ways. Halfdan finds this hilarious. "Mysterious ways, yes. Very mysterious how your worthless god couldn't save Ragnar from the snakes when I handed him—" He stops. The tent goes quiet. Halfdan's eyes sharpen despite the mead. When Ayla handed him to the Serpents, your god failed then, didn't he?" The moment passes. Warriors laugh. The priest whimpers. But you saw it. That slip, that moment of truth escaping through mead-loosened lips. More importantly, you saw the priest see it. His eyes widened at Halfdan's near confession, filing it away with whatever passes for memory in his terror-addled mind. You make a decision. When the interrogation ends and guards drag the prisoners back to their cages, you volunteer for night watch. "Let the others drink, Lord," you say to Halfdan. "Someone should stay sharp." He claps your shoulder, breath fetid. "My faithful hound, what would I do without you?" Beat the snakes yourself, you think, but you smile and bow. Later, in the deep night, you bring the priest water. He flinches when you approach, but thirst wins over fear. As he drinks, you speak casually. "Strange what Lord Halfdan said earlier, about handing Ragnar to someone." The priest's eyes dart nervously. I heard nothing." "Of course not. Probably just the mead talking. Lords say foolish things in their cups." You pause. "Still, if it were true, if a son really did betray his father, your god has opinions about such things, doesn't he?" The priest clutches his cross tighter. You've planted another seed. Let it grow in the fertile soil of his fear and righteousness. Your sowing continues over the following days. A comment here, a question there, always careful, always deniable. But the gods, whoever they are, seem to enjoy testing you. Your first real close call comes when Halfdan's spy master, a weasel named Ulf, corners you after morning weapons drill. "You've been talking to Ivar," he says, without preamble. Your heart hammers, but your face stays calm. Years of killing have taught you to control your body's betrayals. "Lord Ivar speaks to many warriors, but not many warriors seek him out so often." "Ah, so you've been watched. Good to know, you affect embarrassment. Lord Halfdan asked me to monitor his brother. He worries about Ivar's ambitions." Ulf's eyes narrow. "He said nothing to me." "Would he?" You let a touch of scorn enter your voice. "You manage his spies. I'm just a warrior who happens to stand near interesting conversations. Lord Halfdan uses different tools for different tasks. It's a gamble, but it pays off." Ulf's pride is pricked by the suggestion that Halfdan might not tell him everything. "What have you learned?" You spin a tale of Ivar's supposed plans, mixing truth with lies. Yes, Ivar questions Halfdan's leadership. True. He might be planning to split the army. False. He definitely suspects Halfdan hides something about Ragnar's death. Dangerously true. But you frame it as paranoid jealousy. Ulf seems satisfied, but you catch him watching you during the next raid. No matter. Let him watch. You're playing a deeper game than he can imagine. Speaking of raids, this one yields unexpected fortune. Not gold, something better. During the sacking of a minor lord's hall, you hear screaming from the stables. Inside, 3 berserkers have cornered a girl, maybe 14 summers, pressing her against the wall. Your blood recognizes her before your mind does. The narrow face, the bright hair, the Skald's daughter. Berserkers are dangerous even to allies, especially drunk ones. But rage makes you stupid, and these 3 are very drunk. You take the first one's knee from behind, hamstringing him like a pig. He goes down screaming. The second turns just in time to meet your shield with his face. Bone crunches. The third, marginally smarter, actually manages to draw his weapon before you open his throat. The girl slides down the wall, shaking. You recognize the look. She's gone away inside, hidden where the bad things can't reach. You've seen it before, done it before, to others. It's done, you tell her gently. You're safe. Her father finds you cleaning berserker blood from your blade, his daughter clinging to him like driftwood in a storm. The skald, Björn Wordweaver they call him, falls to his knees. My life is yours, he weeps. My words, my songs, my breath, all yours. I swear this by any god who listens. The debt can never be repaid. You help him stand, uncomfortable with his gratitude. You didn't save her for gain. Or did you? These days you're not sure where calculation ends and instinct begins. Seeing well of Ragnar, you tell him. That's payment enough. He grips your hands with desperate strength. Until the end of days, warrior. Until the very end of days. Another thread for your web. You're accumulating quite the collection. The celebration that night is wilder than usual. Berserkers make everyone nervous, and 3 fewer brings relief. You're accepting congratulations for your stable work when Halfdan appears at your shoulder. The crowd parts respectfully. 3 berserkers, he muses. Impressive. Of course they were drunk. And stupid lord. Indeed. Still, you've been busy lately, killing Saxons, killing berserkers, having long conversations with my brother. His smile could freeze blood. One might think you're ambitious. The accusation hangs between you like a drawn blade. Around you, warriors pretend not to listen, while hanging on every word. You meet his gaze steadily. I serve the sons of Ragnar, all of them. How diplomatic? He leans closer, voice dropping. Careful, friend. Even loyal dogs can catch rabies, and we know what happens to rabid dogs. They get put down, lord. Smart hound. He claps your shoulder hard enough to bruise. Stay that way. He leaves you standing there, message delivered. But you've received a message too. He's watching you now. Good. Let him watch. Let him wonder. Paranoid kings make mistakes, and mistakes are all you need. That night, you lie awake planning. 3 seeds planted. Ivar's suspicion, the priest's dangerous knowledge, the skald's life debt. Soon they'll flower into something beautiful. Something that ends with Halfdan spreadeagled before the army, ribs cracked open like wings, lungs drawn out like bloody banners. Justice, you're learning, is just revenge that everyone agrees with. And you're about to become very agreeable. The Saxon coin burns in your pouch like a small sun. You acquired it weeks ago from a dead thane, but tonight it becomes something more. By flickering candlelight in your private corner of the warrior's quarters, you carefully carve Halfdan's personal rune into the soft gold. Each scrape of your knife is another nail in his coffin, or rather, another rib in his eventual spreading. The forgery doesn't need to be perfect. In fact, slight clumsiness works better. Would Halfdan carefully craft his mark on blood money, or would he scratch it quickly, furtively, like the guilty man he is? You opt for haste over art. When you're finished, the coin looks exactly like what it is. Evidence of betrayal, waiting to be discovered. You've become quite the student of human nature these past weeks. For instance, you've learned that Ivar's personal guard conducts inventory of captured treasury every 3rd day tomorrow. You've also noticed that the guard responsible for the Saxon gold, young Ketil, has a weakness for dice games. Tonight, you ensure he loses spectacularly. Bad luck, you commiserate, refilling his ale horn. But tomorrow's inventory always goes quick. You'll make the money back at next week's game. Ketil groans into his drink. You pat his shoulder sympathetically and palm the marked coin into his purse while he's distracted. He'll discover it tomorrow during counting. He'll show Ivar, and Ivar, already primed by weeks of your careful whispers, will draw the obvious conclusion. Amazing how easily evidence appears when you know where to put it. Your cultivation of the Saxon priest requires a different touch. Prison guards are lazy creatures of habit. You've learned their patterns. 3 times a week you arrive during the dead watch between midnight and dawn, when only one guard remains awake, usually barely. Can't sleep? You tell tonight's guard. a perpetually yawning warrior named Hjalti. Thought I'd check on our holy man. Lord Halfdan wants him healthy for more conversations. Hjalti waves you through without looking up from his dice game against himself. The priest cowers as you approach, but you've brought bread and clean water. Kindness is its own manipulation. Eat, you tell him in passable Saxon. You need strength. He takes the bread with shaking hands. You've done this enough that he no longer flinches when you sit beside his cage. Progress. I've been thinking about what Lord Halfdan said, you mention casually. About handing someone over. Probably nothing. The priest's chewing slows. You continue as if thinking aloud. Though it would explain much. How King Elia knew exactly where to place his ambush. How he had snake pits already prepared. You shake your head. But what son would do such a thing? Surely even pagans have limits. Judas, the priest whispers. You affect confusion. Who? Judas betrayed Christ for silver, the greatest sin. His voice gains strength, warming to theology even in captivity. To betray one who trusts you, who loves you, this damns the soul forever. Ah, you nod thoughtfully. And if someone knew of such a betrayal? If they had heard confession of it? The priest's eyes sharpen. He's not stupid, this one. God demands truth be spoken. Evil hidden is evil multiplied. You leave more questions than answers, planting possibilities in his mind. Let him stew in righteousness and fear. When the time comes, he'll be ready to thunder God's judgment on Halfdan, especially if he thinks it might earn his freedom. Your third manipulation requires patience. Björn Wordweaver seeks you out daily now, pressing epic verses about your martial prowess that would make you blush if you had any shame left. You endure his gratitude while steering conversations toward Ragnar. You must have known him well, you say one evening, to compose such moving death songs. Every scold in the army knew Ragnar King Serpent. Bjorn's eyes mist with memory and mead. He used to test us, you know. Made us compose praise poems on the spot about whatever he pointed at. A chicken, a broken wheel. Once, memorably, Floki's bare ass. You laugh appropriately. He sounds, attentive to details, like an eagle spotting mice. Nothing escaped him. Bjorn's face darkens. Which makes his capture all the stranger. 60 years of battle cunning, and he walks into an obvious ambush. There it is, the doubt already present, wanting only encouragement. Perhaps age finally caught him. Perhaps. But Bjorn looks unconvinced. You've given him a thread to pull. Scolds love pulling threads. Your growing web of manipulation hasn't gone unnoticed. 2 nights after planting the coin, Grimmer confronts you near the prisoner cages. Halfdan's chief bodyguard is built like a mountain and approximately as smart. But even mountains can be dangerous when they fall on you. What are you doing here? No greeting, just suspicion. You hold up the water bucket you're carrying. Keeping the priest alive. Lord Halfdan's orders. In the middle of the night? Where else? Days are for raiding, evenings for drinking, nights the only quiet time. You affect irritation. Unless you'd prefer to water him yourself. Grimmer's face suggests he'd rather water plants in Helheim, but he's not satisfied. You've been here often. The priest has information about hidden gold, takes time to build trust. You pull out the map you've prepared for exactly this eventuality, a believable forgery showing monastery locations. He's already revealed 3 sites. Lord Halfdan will be pleased. Grimor studies the map with the intense concentration of someone who can't actually read maps. Why hasn't Lord Halfdan mentioned this? Would you announce to the whole army where gold might be hidden before you've secured it? You let scorn drip into your voice. Think, man. That's why he uses me instead of... You gesture at Grimmer's massive frame. More obvious methods. It's a risk, insulting him, but calculated. Grimmer's used to being called stupid. He accepts it as natural law, like rain being wet. What matters is the logic. Secret gold needs secret methods. Even he can understand that. I'm coming with you next time, he declares. Fine. But you're explaining to Lord Halfdan why his gold-finding priest suddenly stopped talking? Grimur considers this. Thinking visibly hurts him. Maybe not every time. Wise choice. He lumbers off, temporarily satisfied. But you know he'll be watching closer now. Time grows short. You need to accelerate. The next day brings unexpected opportunity. Halfdan summons his brothers and chief captains for a war council. The topic: York's defences and how to crack them. You're there to serve mead and be furniture, but furniture with excellent ears. The discussion goes predictably, until Ivar speaks. Interesting how York's weak points match exactly what our scouts report. Almost like someone told us where to look. Halfdan's jaw tightens. Meaning what, brother? Meaning nothing. Just observing how fortunate we've been. How often Saxon defences are weak precisely where we attack. How frequently their ambushes catch only our expendable troops. Eivor's pale eyes glitter. One might think we had a friend among the Saxons. Careful, cripple, Halfdan snarls. Accusations need proof. Of course, good thing I'm not making accusations, just observations. Ivar smiles. Like observing this coin my men found in the Saxon treasury. He produces it with a conjurer's flourish. Your marked coin gleams in the firelight. Halfdan goes very still. My rune, he says quietly, on Saxon gold. Be a personal mark, carved recently by the look of it. Ivar's voice drips false concern. Of course, there must be an explanation. Perhaps you dropped it during raiding? Perhaps. But Halfdan's voice has gone flat, dangerous. His eyes scan the room, looking for threats, traps, truth. They pass over you without stopping. Good. The council continues, but the poison is spreading. You see it in how captains glance at each other, how hands drift toward weapons. Doubt, once seeded, grows like weeds after rain. That night, Halfdan summons you privately. His tent reeks of paranoia and sour mead. Ivar's been asking questions about father's death, he says without preamble. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you? You arrange your face into perfect confusion. Questions, Lord. What kind of questions? The dangerous kind. He studies you like a text he can't quite read. You've been speaking with him often? As you ordered, Lord, monitoring his ambitions. You let worry creep into your voice. Have I failed you? Should I have... No, he waves dismissively. Continue watching him, but now he's watching me. His laugh is bitter as wormwood. My own brother, after everything I've done for this family. Like murdering your father? He thinks, but you nod sympathetically. Blood and suspicion make poor bedfellows, Lord. Wise words from a simple warrior. Is that suspicion in his voice, or just exhaustion? Tell me, my faithful hound, if you had to choose between brothers, how would you decide? A test. But you're ready. I wouldn't choose, Lord. I serve the sons of Ragnar, all of them. Let the gods sort out their differences. The gods, he spits. The gods were notably absent when father fed the snakes. You say nothing. Sometimes silence speaks louder than words. Get out, he says finally. And if you hear anything, about this coin, you tell me first. Understood? Yes, Lord. You bow out, suppressing triumph. He's rattled, paranoid. Perfect. Paranoid men make mistakes, and Halfdan's about to make his last one. Outside, snow begins to fall. You catch a flake on your palm, watch it melt. Delicate things, snowflakes, but enough of them can bury a mountain. You've set enough falling now. Doubt, suspicion, carefully crafted evidence. Soon the avalanche begins, and when it does, you'll be the one holding the knife. Sometimes the gods smile on patient men. Young Sigurd Snake in the Eye seeks you out during morning weapon practice, his famous birthmarked eye twitching with barely suppressed emotion. You've watched him for weeks. The overlooked brother, neither as fierce as Ivar nor as commanding as Halfdan, desperate to matter. You're the one who speaks with Ivar, he says without preamble. You pause in sharpening your axe. Lord Ivar speaks with many warriors. Don't play games. His voice cracks with frustration. I know you've been feeding him poison about Halfdan. This coin business, it's your doing, isn't it? Perfect. You set down your whetstone with deliberate calm. Lord Sigurd, you dishonour me. I serve all sons of Ragnar equally. Exactly. He seizes on this. Which is why you must help me stop this madness. These accusations against Halfdan, they'll tear the army apart, brother against brother, while the Saxons laugh. You study him with manufactured concern. His soft features, so different from his brother's harsh angles, practically beg for validation. What would you have me do, Lord? Speak for him at the Thing. Tell them about Halfdan's loyalty, his grief for father. Sigurd's eyes plead. You've served him faithfully. Your word carries weight. I'm just a warrior, Lord. Who would listen to... I would. He grips your shoulder with surprising strength. And others would follow. Please, help me save my brother from Ivar's jealousy. Ooh, this is too delicious. You pretend to wrestle with conscience. Lord Halfdan might not appreciate... I'll make him appreciate it. This is my chance to finally... He stops. Swallows. To matter. To be more than the soft one or the stranged one. If I save him from these accusations, he'll have to respect me. You let him see calculated reluctance giving way to agreement. Perhaps. If you spoke first, Lord, defended him publicly, I could support your words, add a warrior's testimony. His face lights with desperate hope. Yes! At tomorrow's Thing, I'll show them all that I'm a true son of Ragnar, defending family honour. Indeed you will, Lord, you bow respectfully. Indeed you will. The poor fool actually thanks you before rushing off to prepare his defence. You return to your axe, suppressing dark laughter. Sigurd thinks he's saving his brother. In truth, he's about to hammer the final nail into Halfdan's coffin. Nothing damns a man quite like weak defence from unexpected quarters. But first, you have other threads to weave. The Saxon priest has ripened nicely under your cultivation, a mixture of fear, righteousness, and desperate hope for freedom. Tonight's the night to harvest. You approach his cage with your usual offerings of bread and water, but also something new, a small wooden cross crudely carved. His eyes widen. You made this? Found it, you shrug. Thought you might want it for your prayers. He clutches it like a drowning man grasps rope. Perfect. Men holding symbols of faith find it harder to lie. You've just handed him his courage. I've been thinking about Judas, you say conversationally. Your story. About betraying someone who trusts you. Heavy burden, carrying such knowledge. The priest nods eagerly. The truth burns within, demanding release. Sin witnessed is sin shared, unless confession cleanses it. Confession. You appear to consider this. If someone knew of betrayal, real betrayal, the kind that killed a king, would your God demand they speak? God demands truth. His voice rises with fervour. Evil hidden multiplies like plague. The righteous must bear witness, whatever the cost. Whatever the cost, you repeat softly, even if speaking might earn freedom. His hands tighten on the cross. You see the moment understanding dawns, the possibility of salvation, both spiritual and physical. God rewards the truthful. Even pagans who speak truth serve his purpose. Interesting theology. You stand, leaving more water within reach. Rest well, priest. Tomorrow brings opportunities for truth-telling. Who knows? Perhaps your God will inspire someone to speak. Perhaps listeners will be grateful enough to show mercy. You leave him praying fervently, preparing his performance. By morning he'll have convinced himself that condemning Halfdan is God's will. Amazing how flexible divine commands become when freedom beckons. Your final manipulation requires delicate handling. Bjorn Wordweaver has been composing increasingly elaborate praise songs about your heroism, but tonight you need him thinking about different verses. You find him by the fire, wine deep in composition, working on new songs. Always, he brightens at your approach. Would you like to hear the verse about your battle with the berserkers? I've added a part where their blood forms runes of justice. Initially, you interrupt gently. I was hoping to hear more about Ragnar, your memories of him, for personal reasons. His face softens with understanding. Warriors often seek connection to dead kings. What would you know? His last raid, before the capture. You were there. Every moment. Bjorn's eyes grow distant. I composed the departure song myself. 60 ships, painted fresh for war. Ragnar stood at the prow like Thor himself, promising Saxon gold and glory. 60 ships, you muse, yet Ella's ambush caught only 12. Where were the others? Bjorn frowns. Scattered by storm, Halfdan said, driven to different beaches. Convenient storm, striking just the king's ships, leaving the others safe. You shake your head. The gods have strange priorities. I never thought. Bjorn's frown deepens. And the timing. Halfdan was supposed to be scouting ahead, but he arrived at the beach after father's capture. Said he was delayed by Saxon patrols that no one else saw. I'm sure there's explanation. You pat his shoulder. Lords have reasons we simple folk can't understand. Best not to question. But the seed is planted in fertile ground. Skalds live for patterns, for stories that make sense. Now Bjorn's mind will worry at these inconsistencies like a dog with a bone. By tomorrow, those worries will likely find their way into verse. Skalds can never resist sharing revelations. The Thing assembly dawns grey and bitter, matching the army's mood. 2,000 warriors gather in the captured meadow, breath steaming in morning cold. The sons of Ragnar sit on raised platforms, Halfdan rigid with controlled fury, Ivar lounging with predatory ease, Sigurd visibly trembling with his moment's arrival. As planned, Sigurd rises first. "Brothers, warriors, I must speak against these whispers poisoning our purpose." The crowd quiets. Sigurd so rarely addresses them that curiosity alone commands attention. You position yourself perfectly. Visible but not prominent. Just another concerned warrior. He makes accusations against my brother Halfdan dishonor us all. Sigurd's voice cracks on dishonor, undermining his intent. He grieves our father as deeply as any. Would a traitor lead us to such victories? Would a betrayer share plunder so fairly? It's painful to watch. Every defense sounds like doubt. His nervous stammering, the way he can't meet anyone's eyes, the desperate edge in his voice. All scream guilt by association. Warriors mutter uneasily. "The coin means nothing," Sigurd continues, voice climbing toward hysteria. "Coins travel. Perhaps Halfdan paid informants for our benefit. Perhaps. Perhaps you should sit down, little brother." Ivar's voice cuts like a blade. "Before you convince us all of Halfdan's guilt with your defense." Nervous laughter ripples through the crowd. Sigurd flushes deep red, looking desperately at Halfdan for support. But Halfdan stares straight ahead, jaw clenched, offering nothing. The boy's humiliation is complete. I just wanted. Sigurd collapses more than sits, the fight gone out of him. Uber rises, or rather drags himself up, making his deformity part of his power. "Since my brother raises the topic, let's discuss it properly. This coin, my personal guard found it. Saxon gold bearing Halfdan's mark. Facts, not stammering. One coin proves nothing." Halfdan snarls. "No, but combined with other curiosities." Ivar smiles. "How you always know which monasteries hold gold, how Saxon ambushes catch only expendable troops, how father's location was known so precisely." He pauses for effect. Almost like someone drew Ella a map. The crowd rumbles like distant thunder. You catch Bjorn Wordweaver's eye, nod slightly. He understands. Time for his contribution. "If we speak of curiosities," Bjorn calls out, voice carrying with school-trained power, "I remember others. How 60 ships became 12 at the ambush. How storms struck only the king's fleet. How Halfdan arrived after the capture, though he left before it. You dare!" Halfdan starts to rise. "I dare remember." Bjorn's courage builds on itself. "I dare ask why father walked into obvious trap when 60 years of war wisdom should have warned him. I dare wonder who benefits most from his death." Now the thunder breaks. Warriors shout, argue, take sides. You've orchestrated perfectly. Doubt from multiple sources, each validating the others. Time for your masterstroke. Bring the Saxon priest, you call out, as if suddenly inspired. He heard King Aeolus' boasts. Let him speak what he knows. The suggestion catches fire. Soon the whole assembly chants for the priest. Grimmer himself fetches the terrified man, probably thinking to prove Halfdan's innocence. If only he knew. The priest stands before 2,000 pagans, clutching his wooden cross. Terror and righteousness war in his face. You hold your breath. Will courage or fear win? "Speak, worm!" someone shouts. "What did your king say about Ragnar?" The priest's voice emerges as barely a whisper. I cannot. Disappointment rustles through the crowd. Then Halfdan makes his crucial mistake. "See?" he laughs harshly. "Even Saxon priests know better than to spread lies about." "Lies?" The priest's head snaps up. Righteous fury blazes in his eyes. "You speak of lies, pagan. You who sold your father for Northumbrian silver. You who drew maps of his anchorage. You who promised Eliela his location in exchange for lands." Silence. Complete, absolute silence. Then the priest continues, words pouring out like water through a broken dam. "I heard my king boast of it, how Ragnar's own son delivered him, how you pagans would tear each other apart once the truth emerged, how Christ's justice works through heathen treachery. Kill him!" Halfdan roars, but other voices roar louder. Let him speak. "Truth. We want truth. Blood eagle for the traitor." The chant builds. Blood eagle. The most terrible death, reserved for the worst criminals. You step forward, playing your final card. "I served Halfdan faithfully," you call out, voice breaking with feigned emotion. "Killed for him, bled for him, believed in him." You turn to face the assembly. If the priest speaks truth, if Lord Halfdan truly sold his father, then I volunteer to perform the ritual myself. For Ragnar. For Ragnar! The cry goes up from 1,000 throats. Halfdan's eyes find yours across the chaos. In them you see understanding dawn too late. He knows now. Every conversation, every manipulation, every planted seed. But knowledge won't save him from the avalanche you've triggered. "Seize the traitor!" Ivar commands, and warriors surge forward. But Grimmer and Halfdan's personal guard form a wall of steel. Blood flows as loyalist fights loyalist. In the chaos, Halfdan breaks free, fleeing toward the horses. You're already moving, intercepting him at the picket lines. He has a sword out, death in his eyes. "You," he snarls, "I should have known. Too clever for a simple warrior." "Your words, Lord, not mine." He attacks with desperate fury, but desperation makes men sloppy. You've been preparing for this moment for months. His blade meets your shield once, twice, then your axe finds his knee. He goes down screaming. By the time others arrive, you're standing over him, weapons lowered, playing the sorrowful executioner. "He fought well," you announce loudly, like a true son of Ragnar. Even traitors can die bravely. They drag him back to the thing, hamstrung and defeated. The assembly has become a mob, all crying for Blood Eagle. Justice, they call it. Vengeance for Ragnar. Ivar presides like a pale spider in his web. The army has spoken. Halfdan Ragnarsson, you stand accused of patricide and treason. The priest testified. The evidence condemns. Your own brothers name you traitor. He smiles coldly. What say you? Halfdan spits blood. I say you're all fools. Everything I did was for this family. Father was old, weak, leading us to destruction. I saved us all. Wrong answer. The crowd explodes with fury. Blood Eagle. The chant shakes the earth. Blood Eagle for the traitor. Ivar raises his hand for silence. So be it. At sunset, Halfdan pays for his crimes. His pale eyes find you. You volunteered, warrior. The honor is yours. You bow deeply, hiding any hint of triumph. I serve justice, Lord, and the sons of Ragnar. They chain Halfdan to a post, guards ensuring he lives until sunset. You spend the afternoon preparing, sharpening tools, praying to gods you don't believe in, playing the reluctant but dutiful executioner. As the sun drops toward the horizon, painting the sky blood red, the army gathers. 2,000 witnesses to justice. You approach Halfdan with your tools, each step measured, ceremonial. He lifts his head, meeting your eyes. "Clever," he whispers, voice rough from screaming. "Using them all. Even me." You lean close, pretending to check his bonds. "You taught me well, Lord. Tools for different tasks." "Indeed." He actually smiles, blood on his teeth. "Do it right, faithful hound. Make it memorable." "Oh, I will." You begin. The crowd roars approval as the first cut opens his back, but just as you're making the second incision, positioning to crack the ribs, a horn sounds from the east. Riders, a dozen of them, bearing the raven banner of Bjorn Ironside, Ragnar's eldest son, who's been raiding in the Mediterranean. The crowd parts as he thunders into the circle. "Stop." Bjorn Ironside's voice carries absolute authority. "I carry proof of the true betrayer." The world tilts. This isn't part of your plan. Bjorn dismounts, producing a leather satchel, a dying confession from Ella's Thane. Written, witnessed. He holds up the parchment. Naming the son of Ragnar who truly betrayed him. Your hands freeze on the knife. Around you, the universe holds its breath. This changes everything. "Read it!" The cry rises from the assembled warriors. "Read the confession." Bjorn Ironside stands like a mountain in the circle, parchment in hand. But you're already moving, mind racing ahead. A dying Thane's confession? Now? The coincidence stinks worse than week-old fish. But you can't stop mid-ritual without seeming guilty yourself. "Hold!" Ivar's voice cuts through the noise. "Brother, your timing is interesting. Our faithful warrior here has already begun the Blood Eagle. Would you have us stop justice for convenient parchments?" Bjorn's eyes flash. "I would have us execute the right man. This confession names whoever you want it to name." Halfdan gasps from his position, back already opened. "Another forgery, like that coin." Beautiful. Even dying, Halfdan helps your cause by casting doubt on all evidence. You keep your hands steady on the knife, playing the conflicted executioner. "Lords," you call out, voice carrying trained authority. "I am but the army's instrument. Tell me, do I continue Ragnar's justice, or do we hear new accusations?" The crowd splits. Some cry for blood, others for truth. You've created perfect chaos. In the confusion, you catch Bjorn Wordweaver's eye. The Scold understands immediately. Time for his greatest performance. "Abjut! Warriors!" Bjorn's voice rises like thunder. "While brothers argue over parchments, let us remember why we're here." He launches into the praise poem you helped him craft. Each verse a dagger of doubt. 60 ships sailed with Ragnar King Serpent. 60 dragons with blood-red sails. But only 12 found Ella's welcome. Only 12 met the Serpent's trails. Where were the others, sons of Ragnar? Where were the warriors sworn to protect? "Storm scattered," says Halfdan the map-maker. Storm scattered, but none can recollect. The crowd stirs. Even Bjorn Ironside pauses, listening. The Scold continues, weaving truth and implication into an undeniable pattern. With each verse, Halfdan looks more guilty, regardless of what any parchment claims. "Enough." Halfdan writhes against his bonds. "You want truth? I'll give you truth. Yes, I met with Aila. Yes, I made agreements, but not to betray father, to position us for afterward. Someone had to think beyond revenge. You see?" You address the assembly, righteous fury in every word. "He admits conspiracy with our enemy. While Ragnar faced the snakes, his son planned succession." You turn to Bjorn Ironside. "Lord, what name does your parchment speak?" Bjorn hesitates. That hesitation tells you everything. The name isn't Halfdan's. Someone else is implicated, but saying so now would seem like deflection. You've trapped him beautifully. The ritual has begun, Ivar interjects smoothly. The condemned has confessed to treating with enemies. Brother Bjorn, unless your parchment claims Halfdan is innocent of all wrongdoing, it doesn't, Bjorn admits reluctantly. Then we continue. Justice delayed is justice denied. Ivar's smile could freeze blood. Warrior, complete your work. The crowd roars approval. You bow to the assembled lords, then return to Halfdan. He's watching you with something like admiration mixed with his agony. Clever to the end, he gasps. But you've made an enemy today. Bjorn knows nothing, you whisper back, positioning for the rib breaking. And after tonight, neither will you. The blood eagle is an art form, really. First the skin, peeled back like opening a book. Then the ribs, cracked carefully from the spine. This is where most executioners fail, going too fast, killing too quickly. But you've practiced on pigs, perfecting the technique. Each rib must be separated just so, creating the wing-like spread that gives the ritual its name. The crowd watches in fascinated horror as you work. Some vomit, some cheer. Most stand transfixed by the grotesque theatre. This is justice as spectacle, vengeance as sacrament. For Ragnar, you announce with each rib cracked. The crowd echoes. For Ragnar! Halfdan still lives when you reach the final stage. His breathing is wet, laboured, but his eyes remain conscious. Time for the lungs, drawn out carefully, draped over the spread ribs like bloody wings. The crowd gasps at the terrible beauty of it. But Halfdan impossibly speaks one last time. Not words, just a laugh. A wet, choking laugh that somehow carries across the silent assembly. He's looking at something behind you. You turn. Bjorn Ironside has unfolded his parchment fully, and his face has gone pale. He's staring at Ivar with dawning horror. The confession, Bjorn says slowly, names Ivar. It claims Ivar made the deal with Eyjella, using Halfdan as an unwitting messenger. The world explodes. Warriors loyal to different brothers draw weapons. Accusations fly like arrows. In the chaos, you notice the Saxon priest being hustled away by Grimmer, no doubt to be silenced forever. Evidence has served its purpose. Now it becomes liability. You stand at the centre of the storm, blood-soaked and triumphant, the executor of justice who might have just killed the wrong man. But here's the beautiful thing. It doesn't matter. Halfdan was guilty of something. The army saw justice done. The truth has become whatever the loudest voices proclaim. Silence! Ivar's voice cracks like a whip. Despite his twisted legs, he radiates menace. Brother Bjorn, you arrive with convenient evidence just as justice is served. How fortunate. Tell me, who witnessed this dying confession? Bella's own priest, under oath to his Christ God. A Saxon priest, how reliable? Ivar's smile is winter moonlight. And where is this priest now? Dead. Killed himself after confessing, they say. How very convenient. Dead men tell such interesting tales. Ivar turns to address the army. Warriors, you've seen justice done tonight. Halfdan admitted treating with enemies. He paid the price, whether he acted alone or with others. He shrugs eloquently. Perhaps we'll never know. The important thing is that Ragnar is avenged. It's masterful. Ivar deflects without denying, acknowledges doubt while maintaining control. You realize with a chill that he might be even more dangerous than Halfdan ever was. You, Bjorn Ironside points at you. Who are you to perform the Blood Eagle? By what right? By the army's will, you respond, letting exhaustion colour your voice. I served Halfdan faithfully until learning of his betrayal. The assembly demanded justice. You let your voice break. I did what honour required, though it broke my heart. Well spoken. Ivar's approval carries warning. A true warrior, serving justice above personal loyalty. We need more such men. His pale eyes hold yours. I trust you'll continue serving? Justice. The threat is clear. You've traded one master for another, but this one knows your capabilities. dangerous ground. The assembly disperses slowly, warriors arguing in clusters. Halfdan's corpse remains displayed, a grotesque monument to the price of betrayal, real or imagined. You clean your tools methodically, playing the dutiful executioner processing his grim work. Bjorn Wordweaver approaches, face grave. "That was necessary," he says carefully, "though I wonder if we'll ever know the full truth." "Truth is what the living agree on," you reply. "The dead have no voice to argue." He nods slowly. "I owe you still. For my daughter. That debt remains." "Then sing of tonight. Make it legend. Let future generations know that betraying Ragnar carries a blood price." You meet his eyes. That's payment enough. As he leaves, you notice Sigurd snake in the eye, sitting alone, shoulders shaking. The failed defender, the humiliated brother. You approach, carefully. "Lord Sigurd." "Don't." His birthmarked eye weeps real tears. "I know what you did, how you used me. Made me look the fool. I made you look loyal. History will remember that you stood for your brother. History will remember I failed." But he looks at you with something like desperate hope. Unless... Teach me, the words tumble out. Teach me to be like you, to see the patterns, to make people do what I want. I'm tired of being weak. You study him. Soft features hardened by humiliation. Strange eye burning with new purpose. Another tool, perhaps. Or another threat. "Power isn't taken, Lord. It's given by those who think you already have it." You offer him a hand up. "But yes, I'll teach you. Someone should carry on the art." As dawn breaks over the blood-soaked assembly ground, you stand among the dispersing warriors. Halfdan is dead, displayed like a warning. Ivar rules through fear and cunning. Bjorn suspects but cannot prove. Sigurd seeks to learn your dark arts. And you? You're the architect of it all. The puppet master whose strings remain invisible. You've transformed murder into justice. Made the army complicit in your vengeance. Beautiful. But as you watch Ivar's men efficiently disposing of inconvenient witnesses, including, you note, that unfortunate Saxon priest, you realize your greatest challenge lies ahead. You've created a monster in Ivar, and monsters, as Halfdan learned, eventually devour their creators. Time to plan your next performance. After all, the Blood Eagle was just the opening act. The real show is about to begin. 6 months. That's how long you've been Ivar's creature, his favourite tool for dark work. 6 months of calculated obedience, perfect loyalty, waiting for the right moment. Tonight, that moment arrives in the form of unexpected visitors. He's sharpening weapons in the main hall, a task that lets you appear busy while listening to everything when the commotion starts. Riders approaching under the Raven banner, demanding immediate audience. Your blood chills when you recognize the lead figure, Ubba, youngest of Ragnar's sons. Returned from Ireland with 50 hardened warriors, but it's his companion that makes your hand pause on the whetstone. A grizzled Saxon warrior, missing an ear, wearing iron chains but walking unbroken. One of Ella's personal guard. "Brother," Ubba's voice booms across the hall, "I bring gifts from across the sea. Gold, slaves, and something more valuable. Truth." Ivar doesn't rise from his carved chair, just smiles that serpent smile. "Truth is cheap, brother. I can buy it from any tortured prisoner." "Not this truth." Ubba gestures to the Saxon. "Tell them what you told me, dog, about the night Ragnar was taken." The Saxon straightens, meeting Ivar's gaze without flinching. You admire his courage, or perhaps he's simply beyond fear. "I was there," the Saxon says in accented Norse. "Captain of the guard that took your father, Lord Aela, commanded us personally, positioned us exactly where the ships would beach. He knew because Halfdan told him." Ivar interjects smoothly. "This is old news, brother. Justice has been done." "Has it?" Ubba's scarred face twists. "Finish your tale, Saxon." He knew, because a son of Ragnar sent word. But the messenger wasn't Halfdan Ragnarsson. I saw him myself. the crooked one, dragging himself into our hall 2 nights before the ambush. Private audience with my king. Gold changed hands. Maps were drawn. Silence falls like a hammer blow. Every eye turns to Ivar, whose smile has finally frozen. Lies, he says quietly. Saxon lies to divide us. Truth, the prisoner continues doggedly. I remember because I laughed. A crippled Northman betraying his legendary father. Lord Aela made jokes about Norse loyalty for weeks after. You keep your expression neutral while your mind races. Another twist in the game. But you've learned to adapt, to find advantage in any chaos. If this is true, you say, stepping forward with calculated reluctance, then I've executed an innocent man. I've stained my honour with righteous blood. You turn to the assembly, voice rising. If Lord Ivar used me to murder his brother falsely, then I demand... You demand nothing. Ivar's voice cuts like winter wind. A mad Saxon's words against mine, who would believe? He moves towards them. To the door. He sees a dog. A cut into the doorway. Björn Ironside enters. And he is Bjorn Ironside enters. Wild-haired and giggling. Loki? Even Ivar seems shaken. You're supposed to be dead? Sailing the edge of the world? Building boats for the gods? Floki's laughter is breaking glass. All true, but the gods sent me back with a message. They're very upset, Ivar. Very, very upset about lies and blood and brothers killing brothers. You're mad, Ivar states flatly. Mad? Oh yes, but madmen see clearly sometimes. Floki dances closer, movements erratic as flame. I see you meeting with Aela's men. I see gold in your tent. I see you whispering poison about faithful Halfdan. His giggling stops abruptly. I see everything, crippled prince. The gods show me. The hall erupts, warriors shout, weapons are drawn, brothers face brothers. You use the chaos to position yourself perfectly. Near the doors, but not obviously fleeing, ready for whatever comes. Enough! Ubba's roar silences the crowd. I call for judgment. Let the thing decide. Let the army hear all evidence. The army has already judged, Ivar snarls. Halfdan died for his crimes. Halfdan died for your crimes! Bjorn steps forward. I've held my peace too long, brother. That parchment, the dying confession, it was real. You had Halfdan killed to hide your own guilt. You watch Ivar's men shift nervously. Loyalty wavers when truth threatens. Time for your own move. Lords, you call out, voice heavy with manufactured grief. I stand here blooded by deception. If Lord Ivar used me to murder an innocent man, his own brother, then my honour demands satisfaction. I call for trial by combat. It's a masterful stroke. Norse law is clear. If you were deceived into committing murder, you have the right to challenge the deceiver. And everyone knows Ivar can't fight physically. He'll have to name a champion, showing weakness. You dare? Ivar's pale eyes burn with fury. I dare seek truth. If you're innocent, the gods will prove it through your champion's blade. You draw your sword slowly, dramatically. Unless you fear divine judgment? Trapped. You've trapped him perfectly. Refusing makes him look guilty. Accepting means risking everything on single combat. I'll stand for him. The voice surprises everyone. Sigurd, snake in the eye, steps forward, sword in hand. I'll be Ivar's champion. You almost laugh. Sigurd, the soft brother you've been training? But then you see his eyes, cold, calculating. He's learned your lessons well, too well. Brother? Ivar seems equally surprised. You supported me when Halfdan mocked me. You alone showed respect. Sigurd's voice carries new steel. I'll repay that debt with blood. The irony is delicious. You taught Sigurd to manipulate, and now he's manipulating everyone, including you. The student challenges the master. Perfect. So be it, Ubba declares. Tomorrow at dawn, single combat, let the gods reveal truth through blood. The assembly disperses into chaos of preparation. You're heading for your quarters when a hand falls on your shoulder. Grimmer, Halfdan's former bodyguard, now serving Ivar. Funny thing, he rumbles. That coin with Lord Halfdan's mark. I've been thinking, you were near the Saxon gold that week, helping with inventory. Your blood chills, but your face stays calm, along with 20 others. What are you suggesting? Nothing. Just thinking. His grip tightens painfully. Lots of people thinking lately. Dangerous habit. He releases you with a shove. The message is clear. Suspicions are forming. Your webs grow visible. Time runs short. That night you prepare carefully. Weapons cleaned, armor checked, prayers said to gods you don't believe in. But your real preparation is mental. Analyzing everything you know about Sigurd's fighting style, every weakness you've observed. A scratch at your door interrupts. Sigurd himself enters, uninvited. "Teacher," he says mockingly, "come to wish your student luck? Come to ask why. You know Ivar's guilty." "Do I?" He examines your weapons with professional interest. "I know Halfdan's dead. I know you killed him. I know I've been everyone's fool for too long." His strange eye fixes on you. "Tomorrow that changes. I'll kill you, prove my worth, and rise in Ivar's service. You taught me power comes from perception. Well, killing the great blood eagle executioner, that's perception. I also taught you to think ahead. What happens after? When Ivar's guilt becomes undeniable, then I'll adapt, as you would." He heads for the door, pauses. "You were a good teacher. But the first lesson of manipulation, don't trust anyone, especially not your students." Alone again, you realize the beautiful horror of your situation. Every scheme has led to this, facing your own techniques turned against you. The gods, if they exist, must be laughing. Dawn comes grey and bitter. The army gathers in a great circle, every faction represented. Ivar sits pale and rigid. Uber stands with barely contained fury. Bjorn Ironside watches with knowing eyes. And somewhere in the crowd, Floki giggles at jokes only he understands. Sigurd enters the circle, moving with new confidence. Gone is the uncertain boy. You've created a warrior. He salutes the crowd professionally, playing to their expectations. You step in opposite him, feeling the weight of months of deception. "For truth," you declare loudly. "For justice wrongly served. For Halfdan's innocent blood. For loyalty," Sigurd counters. "For order. For ending the lies." The fight begins as dance. Circling, testing, probing. Sigurd has learned well, patience replacing his former rashness. But you know his patterns because you created them. Steel rings on steel. The crowd roars with each exchange. You fight conservatively, letting him expend energy, waiting for the mistake that must come. But Sigurd surprises you. He's been practicing beyond your teaching, developing his own style. First blood goes to him, a shallow cut across your ribs. The crowd gasps. David challenges Goliath and draws first blood. You reassess, abandon contempt for respect. The student has become dangerous. The fight intensifies. You use every trick, every technique earned through years of killing. But Sigurd matches you, anticipates you. He knows your moves because he's studied you like you once studied Halfdan. Then you see it. Tiny tell in his footwork when he prepares his favourite thrust. You've been waiting, baiting. He commits, you sidestep, and your blade finds the gap in his armour, deep into the chest, angled up. Sigurd's eyes widen with surprise, then something like pride. "Good!" he gasps, blood frothing his lips. "Very good, teacher." He falls, but you catch him, lowering him gently. The crowd watches in stunned silence as you kneel beside your dying student. "Why?" you ask quietly. "You knew the truth." "Truth?" He coughs red. "Truth is what the living agree on. You taught me that." His strange eye fixes on something beyond you. "Look, the ravens." He dies with a smile. You stand slowly, Sigurd's blood on your hands adding to Halfdan's stain. The circle is silent, waiting. "The gods have spoken," you declare. "Ivar the boneless, you stand revealed, Your champion falls. Your guilt is proven. I call for... You call for nothing. Avar's voice is deadly quiet. You think you've won? You think this ends with Sigurd's death? He rises, supported by his crutch but radiating menace. I know what you are, executioner. I know every manipulation, every planted evidence, every whispered poison. You killed Halfdan for your own reasons and used us all as tools. The crowd stirs uneasily. Truth within truth. Ivar guilty, but you no innocent. Prove it. You challenge. I don't need to. His smile is terrible. Because you're going to serve me now. Kill for me. Manipulate for me. Or I'll reveal every detail of your schemes. You'll die knowing the army you fooled will tear you apart for making them complicit in fratricide. Checkmate. He's got you perfectly. Refuse and die as manipulator. Accept and live as slave. Your own techniques turned against you with vicious precision. Choose quickly, Ivar continues. My patience... The axe takes him in the chest, thrown from the crowd with impossible force. Ivar topples, crutch clattering away. Everyone turns to see the thrower. Floki stands, grinning, empty hands raised. The gods told me to do that. They're very tired of all this talking. Chaos absolute. Ivar's men charge Floki. Ubba's warriors respond. Bjorn tries to restore order, and in the melee, you see opportunity. You could run, disappear into the confusion, emerge elsewhere with new name, new life. But as you watch the army tear itself apart, your army, your creation, different resolve crystallizes. You know what's that, so Ragnar? Your voice, trained by years of command, cuts through chaos. Hear me. Amazingly, they pause. Even dying Ivar turns to look. I stand before you blooded by truth and lies alike. Yes, I killed Halfdan. Yes, I manipulated events, but not for gold or power, for justice. You point to Ivar. He betrayed Ragnar, and Halfdan helped hide it. Both were guilty. I gave you what you wanted, vengeance for your king. You gave us fratricide, someone shouts. I gave you truth dressed as justice. Halfdan was no innocent. He knew of Ivar's betrayal and profited from it. Both deserved death. I simply arranged it. And Sigurd? Bjorn demands. Did he deserve death? You look at the boy's corpse. Sigurd chose his path. I taught him to seek power, and he died seeking it. The gods judge us all. The gods, Floki giggles, dancing through corpses, are laughing at this wonderful joke. Sons killing sons, warriors killing warriors, and why? Because one clever man wanted revenge? He stops before you, mad eyes suddenly sharp. But revenge for what, executioner? What started your hatred? The question you've dreaded. But lies die here. Halfdan had my brother killed. Made it look like Saxon work. Just another casualty in his false war. Your brother. Ubba processes this. So everything. The Blood Eagle, the Civil War. All for personal vengeance. Everything. You spread your arms, encompassing the carnage. I regret nothing. Oathbreakers died. Justice was served. If the army tears itself apart over truth, perhaps it deserves to. Kill him, voices cry, but others shout, hero! The army splits again. Those who see necessary evil versus those who see only evil. But Bjorn Ironside steps forward, voice carrying absolute authority. Enough blood! Enough vengeance! Enough truth! He looks at you with something like understanding. You've done terrible things for personal reasons, but you've also revealed terrible truths. The army must decide, are you criminal or instrument of fate? Let the thing decide, Ubba agrees, but properly this time. All evidence, all truth. Let judgment come from the whole army, not whispers and schemes. They chain you, but with respect. You're dangerous, but potentially divine, touched by gods of vengeance and chaos. As they lead you away, you pass Ivar, breathing his last around Floki's axe. Beautiful, he whispers, your final manipulation, making them thank you for destroying them. He dies with bitter appreciation. Artists recognizing art. The thing lasts 3 days. Every detail emerges. Your brother's death, your careful schemes, the planted evidence, the manipulated testimonies. Some call for your death, others name you hero. In the end, they compromise. Exile, but with honor. You've served justice, however twisted. You've revealed truth, however painful. You stand on a windswept beach, watching ships prepare for morning departure. Bjorn Ironside approaches, alone. "Island," he says. "You'll take ship to Island. Start fresh. The army needs to heal without you here." Generous. You study him. "Why not just kill me?" "Because you're useful. And because..." He sighs. "Because someone needs to remember this. All of it. The price of lies, the cost of vengeance, the danger of men like you." "Men like me." You smile without humour. "I was just a warrior once. Before Halfdan made me a killer. Before you all made me a monster." "We all choose our monsters." He turns to leave, pauses. "Your brother, what was his name?" You think of Gunnar, young and idealistic, asking too many questions. Does it matter? He's just another ghost now. Like Ragnar, like Halfdan, like honor. Bjorn leaves without responding. You're alone with the waves and the wheeling ravens, those carrion birds that feast on the aftermath of human ambition. Tomorrow, you sail for exile. Tonight, you remember. In the end, everyone got what they wanted. Ivar wanted power and died grasping for it. Halfdan wanted legacy and became infamous. Sigurd wanted respect and earned it dying. The army wanted vengeance and got civil war. And you wanted your brother's killer dead. Mission accomplished. The fact that it destroyed everything else, well, nothing says justice quite like a blood eagle witnessed by 2,000 witnesses. The ravens know the truth. Everyone's guilty of something. The trick is making sure you're the one holding the knife when the bleeding stops. You've learnt that lesson well, perhaps too well. As the first stars appear, you allow yourself one moment of truth. You miss him. Gunnar, your little brother who believed in honour and justice and all the lies warriors tell themselves. You've avenged him with interest, painted the north red with retribution. But he's still dead, and you're still empty. The ravens caw overhead, nature's accountants tallying the cost. Tomorrow, Island. New name, new life, new lies. But tonight you're just another killer on a beach, counting ghosts. At least the blood eagle was artistic. Gunnar would have hated it. Too cruel. Too elaborate. Which really makes it the perfect memorial. Thank you for listening, one last time. May your sleep be deep, your dreams quiet, and your mind at peace. Good night.